Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call the Board of Examiners meeting to order. Madam Secretary, can you hear us loud and clear in Las Vegas?
Yes, I can, Governor. Thank you.
Thank you. We will proceed with agenda item number 2, public comment. Is there any member of the public in Carson City that would like to provide public comment to the board? I hear and see no one. Is there anyone present in Las Vegas that would like to provide public comment to the board?
No, Governor, there's nobody here that would like to provide public comment.
All right, thank you. Before we leave public comment, I have a public comment. It's a little bittersweet, but today is Jim Wells' last day presiding over the Board of Examiners meeting. Mr. Wells, or Jim, has served the state with great distinction for many, many years, and if all of you would please bear with me, I have a copy of a proclamation that is going to be presented to Mr. Wells, and I guess it's going to kind of spoil the surprise, but July 13th is James Wells Day in the great state of Nevada. But if you'll bear with me. Whereas James R. Wells has served the state of Nevada with great commitment and integrity for more than 25 years, beginning his service to the Silver State with the Department of Commerce in 1992. And whereas he transferred to the University of Nevada, Reno in December 1992, assuming the duties of grants and contracts within the Controller's Office, and he was promoted to finance manager with the Cooperative Extension Southern area, followed by fiscal officer in October 1995 with the Sierra Nevada Job Corps Center. And whereas in 1998, James R. Wells transferred to the office of the state controller as an accountant 3, utilizing his educational and professional training as a certified public accountant, and was promoted first to chief accountant in 1999, followed by Chief Deputy Controller in 2001. And whereas he transferred to the Public Employees Benefits Program to serve as its accounting/finance officer from 2003 to 2006, where he developed a deep understanding of the state's employee and retiree health insurance programs, policies, and rate development. And in 2006, James assumed the leadership of the Department of Education's accounting and budget functions by becoming the Deputy Superintendent of Administrative and Support Services within the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction. Still not done yet. Whereas in 2010, James returned to PEBP as its executive officer, where he guided the agency, the board, and plan participants through significant changes to the state's health insurance program. And in March 2015, James was appointed interim director of the Department of Administration and then became the first director of the newly created Governor's Office of Finance in July 2015, and he guided the development and implementation of executive budgets across 3 biennia. And whereas he has used his vast knowledge of the state's accounting, budget, and policy development processes to promote efficient service to the citizens of Nevada and conservation of public resources, I can vouch for that. And the state of Nevada commends James R. Wells on his outstanding tenure as a dedicated state employee and joins his family, friends, and colleagues in extending sincere appreciation for his years of service, with best wishes for a happy and fulfilling retirement. Please join me in giving him a big hand. And just not from the proclamation, I've had the privilege of working with Jim for several years now, and there's not any piece of minutia within the budget that he's not aware of. I know that all the advice that I get from him is spot on with regard to the budget. Always preparing a budget is a big challenge, and Jim is already, as some of you can probably appreciate, particularly those of you on the cabinet, to let you know exactly where you stand. And he always has Nevada's best interests in mind. And so, Jim, I'm really going to miss you. The state is going to miss you, and you should be incredibly proud of what you've done and what you've accomplished on behalf of the people of the state of Nevada. So thank you. All right.
Governor,
Yes, Madam Secretary.
thank you very much for what you have done, the proclamation, everything for Jim Wells. Just on behalf of the Secretary of State's office, we really want to thank Jim as well. He has been outstanding to work with. He has done a yeoman's job. I can't imagine anybody working on the budget as hard and as efficient as he did. And I just also would like to personally thank him and thank you, Governor, for what you read. And we really are going to miss you, Jim, but we wish you the best, and we're happy about July 13th being your day.
Attorney General.
Jim, just want to thank you as well on behalf of our office. We've worked on thousands of things together over the last few years, and you've been a great partner. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy your retirement, or quasi-retirement, maybe. Thank you.
All right, I don't know, Jim, if you wanted to say any words. I know you're not a man of many words, but please.
Thank you, Governor, and I'm not exactly sure what to say. As you said, I'm not a man of many words, but this has truly been the honor of my career to serve you and the citizens of the state in this capacity, and I certainly come to work every day with the citizens' best interest in mind, and appreciate everything that you have done in leading the state through what has been a very difficult economic time.
Thank you, Director Wells. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 3, which is approval of the June 19, 2018 meeting minutes. Have the members had an opportunity to review the minutes, and are there any changes? If not, the chair will accept a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion? Hear none. All those in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. We'll move to agenda item number 4, which is discussion and possible adoption of proposed regulation as identified in LCB file number R034-18. Director Wells, did you want to lay down an introduction, please?
Thank you, Governor. NRS 353.090 subsection 1 was amended by Assembly Bill 216 in 2003 to require the Board of Examiners adopt regulations providing for the use of sampling procedures and post-audit techniques for the determination of correctness of claims for payments from the state treasury pursuant to either an appropriation or authorization by the legislature. Prior to the implementation of that bill, the adoption of regulations were permissive but not required. And we happened to run across the requirement when we were updating one of the chapters in the State Administrative Manual, and so we have been working to update to create the reg and do the workshops. And Internal Audit Administrator Weinberger and Ms. Hoover will be available to answer any questions board members may have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wells. I'll open the hearing on this matter. Mr. Weinberger, good morning. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. The compliance review section of our division is responsible for reviewing claims against the state or expenditures. The section consists of 2 Auditor 3s, Maria Moreno and Hillary Reynolds. I'm going to introduce them. They're supervised by Executive Branch Auditor 3, Lori Hoover. Maria and Hillary perform compliance reviews of executive branch agencies during which they review agency fiscal procedures for compliance with state and federal guidelines and proper internal controls. They also review agency expenditures pursuant to NRS 353.090 by reviewing expenditure entries in the state's accounting system. They select expenditures to review that, based on our experience, have the most potential for unallowable purchases, miscoding, services purchased without a contract, late fees, and possible fraud. Also, if we know potential issues from prior reviews, our fraud hotline, other audits, or our review of agency procedures, we ensure we select expenditures that may be exceptions as a result of those issues. Selecting expenditures in this judgmental manner is more efficient than using a statistical sample, as the transactions we select have more potential for an exception. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Weinberger. Thank you, Mr. Weinberger. I have no questions. Board members, any questions on this matter?
No, Governor.
All All right, pursuant to the notice of intent to act upon a regulation, persons wishing to comment upon the proposed action of the Governor's Office, Finance Office, Internal Audits Division may appear at the scheduled public hearing or may address their comments, data, views, or arguments in written form to Steve Weinberger. Is there anyone present that wished to comment on this matter in Carson City? I hear and see no one. Is there anyone present in Las Vegas that wishes to comment on this matter?
No, Governor, there's nobody here.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And Mr. Weinberger, did you receive any comments?
We actually held a workshop, but there were no public comments.
Yeah, and that was the shortest workshop in history. If you read the minutes from that, it's like 3 sentences, but well done. So if there are no public comments, Mr. Weinberger, any other remarks that you wanted to make for the record?
No, sir.
All right. If there are no further questions or comments, the chair will accept a motion to approve LCB file number R034-18, which is an amendment to Chapter 353 of the NAC.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Governor.
Thank you. Madam Secretary has seconded the motion. Any questions or discussion? I hear none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0, and I will close the hearing on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Real quick, I wanted to also thank Director Wells. He's shown great leadership, and I can honestly say, working for him, I've learned so much more about the state. And I'd already been working for the state for about 25 years before he took over as my boss. So again, I'd like to thank Director Wells for everything he's done for our division.
Thank you, Mr. Weinberger. Have a great day. We'll move to agenda item number 5, which is a request to purchase state vehicles. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There are 4 requests for 12 vehicles in this agenda item. The first request is from the Department of Administration Fleet Services to purchase 3 replacement vehicles, 2 for the Division of Parole and Probation and the other for the Employment Security Division that were totaled in accidents. These will be purchased using agency reserves and are subject to approval of an IFC work program at the August meeting. The second request is from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources Division of Water Resources to purchase a replacement vehicle for the Las Vegas Water Basin District. The 2 vehicles being replaced have met the age and/or mileage requirements that are in the State Administrative Manual, and this request is from a non-executive budget account. The third request is from the Department of Public Safety Highway Patrol to lease 5 vehicles for the Highway Safety Grant account. These 5 vehicles replace 5 leased vehicles where the lease expired on June 30th of 2018. And the final request is from the Department of Public Safety Investigations Division to replace 3 vehicles which have met the age and/or mileage requirements in the State Administrative Manual. The 2 new SUVs and the 1 pickup truck will replace 2 SUVs and a sedan, and were included in the agency's legislatively approved budgets. And there are representatives available if the board members have any questions.
Thank you, Director Wells. I have no questions. Board members, any questions on agenda item number 5?
I have none.
questions. I move to approve.
The Attorney General has moved to approve the request to purchase state vehicles as presented in agenda item number 5. Madam Secretary, do you have the second?
I have a second for you, Governor.
Thank you. Secretary of State has seconded the motion. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There are none. All in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to agenda item number 6, authorization to contract with a current and/or former state employee. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. Item 6 includes 4 requests to contract with current and/or former employees pursuant to NRS 333.705, subsection 1. The first request is from the Department of Public Safety Highway Patrol to contract with a vendor to provide tow management services, which employs a former employee who retired in March of 2017. The former employee did not have any influence or authority over the RFP processes for this contract. The second request is from the Office of the Attorney General to utilize a former senior engineer at the Bureau of Consumer Protection as an expert witness in cases involving utility rate establishment and impacts to customers. The employee who retired in July of 2017 will be engaged on an as-needed basis at a rate of $125 per hour for the period of July 1, 2018 through June 30th, 2020. This request relates to contract number 1 under agenda item 11. The third request is from the Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Child and Family Services, to utilize a current System of Higher Education employee to provide psychiatric services to youth at the Nevada Youth Training Center in Elko. The employee will provide services for approximately 8 to 16 hours per month at a rate to be negotiated by the division for the period of July 1, 2018 through June 30th of 2022. And this item relates to information contract number 4 under agenda item 13. And the final request is from the Governor's Finance Office to contract with a former state employee who retired in October 2017 to assist with the preparation of the Governor's executive budget. The contractor will work approximately 20 hours per week from September through early January at an hourly rate of $70. And there are representatives available from the departments to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Wells. At least in my mind, straightforward. Board members, any questions on agenda item number 6? If there are none, the chair will accept a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved to approve the authorization to contract with a current and/or former state employee as presented in agenda item number 6. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Governor.
Secretary of State has seconded the motion. Any questions or discussion on the motion? I hear none. All in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to agenda item number 7, request for the allocation and disbursement of funds for salary adjustments. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. Sections 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Assembly Bill 517 and Sections 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Senate Bill 368 from the 2017 legislative session appropriated salary adjustment funds to the Board of Examiners to cover vacancy salary savings, which are built into agency budgets, as well as the 3% cost of living adjustments, which were effective July 1st, 2017, and not included in agency salary budgets. An agency whose actual salaries exceed their budgeted amounts due to the vacancy savings or the cost of living adjustments are allowed to request salary adjustment dollars from the Board of Examiners. This item represents access to those funds by the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources to cover the cost of COLAs in the amount of $10,718 in general funds, various institutions and accounts within the Department of Corrections to cover vacancy savings and the cost of living adjustments in the amount of $4,290,757 in general funds, and the Nevada State College and UNR School of Medicine within the Nevada System of Higher Education to cover vacancy savings and the cost of living adjustments in the amount of $687,997 in higher education general funds. And there are representatives available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Director Wells. I have no questions. Board members, any questions with regard to agenda item number 7? If there are none, the chair will accept a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
The Attorney General has moved to approve the request for the allocation and disbursement of funds for salary adjustments as presented in agenda item number 7. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Governor.
Secretary of State has seconded the motion. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes 3-0. Director Wells, my understanding is that agenda item number 8 has been withdrawn.
That is correct, Governor. Item 8 needs to be withdrawn.
All right. So agenda item 8 is withdrawn. So therefore, we will move to agenda item number 9, approval of proposed state administrative manual changes. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. Item 9 seeks approval to revise Chapter 3000 of the State Administrative Manual regarding grants. This chapter has been revised to clean up and/or clarify certain language, to remove duplicative language already included in statute, regulation, or other source documents, like the new grants manual, to remove language which is no longer applicable, and to consolidate certain sections. The revised chapter attempts to address the grants in 3 phases: a pre-award phase, a post-award phase, and a grant closeout phase. And Ms. Lucido from the Grants Office is available to answer any questions that the board members may have.
Thank you, Director Wells. Pretty straightforward in my mind. Any questions from board members? There are none. Chair will accept a motion to approve agenda item number 9.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for the approval of the proposed state administrative manual changes as presented agenda item number 9. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Governor.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There are none. All in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. on to agenda item number 10, approval of proposed leases. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There are 6 leases in agenda item 10 for approval by the board this morning. Leases 3 and 4 are related. There's a transposition in the amount of lease number 4, which actually should read $1,026,444, not $1,206,444. There's also an amendment to this proposed lease, which was received subsequent to the posting of the agenda, to include an additional 259 square feet and a revised total of $1,044,222. This lease has not yet been approved by the City of North Las Vegas and is contingent upon such approval. No other additional information was requested by any of the members.
Thank you, Director Wells. I have no questions. Board members, any questions with regard to agenda item number 10? If there are none, the chair will accept a motion to approve with the amendments described by Director Wells in contract number, or lease number 4. Or 3.
Governor, can we have the Department of Administration come up to discuss items 3 and 4? Thank you. Good morning. I just wanted to take the opportunity to get an update. Obviously, the Secretary of State's office and our office have been had ongoing issues with the Grant Sawyer building, and I certainly plan on supporting the Secretary of State's plan to find temporary work space, and I would just like an update on where we are with our office.
For the record, Leanne Lima, Public Works Division, Leasing Section. Under direction from the prior interim administrator, we were looking for between 10,000 to 50,000 square feet for the Attorney General's office. And it is, to my knowledge,
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
between 10,000 to 50,000 square feet of potential leased facility. And it is under my knowledge that the Department of Health and Human Services has provided 10,000 square feet for those that are going to be most affected by the construction.
For the record, Patrick Cates, excuse me. We had a meeting with your staff, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Mike Weldon and I, and we found some space temporarily to house your staff with the Department of Health and Human Services. And I believe that is progressing forward. I believe your staff are going to go back and look at costs associated with the move, being able to support the IT infrastructure. I haven't followed up with Mr. Tertanich or anybody since that meeting, but I believe that's progressing.
Well, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you guys we've been talking about this for a few months, and I appreciate you all making it a priority and understanding how important it is for this section of our employees to be able to have a safe work environment. And so really appreciate finding a good accommodation to allow our employees to be able to work in a safe environment and something that won't cost a tremendous amount of money. So thank you very much for working with us. We look forward to sorting out the final details in the coming weeks ahead. Appreciate it.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. Cates, if you stay up there, but I want to make sure it's clear on the record, with regard to lease number 4, it's not a temporary lease, it's a 3-year lease. Is that correct, Mr. Cates? Director Cates?
For the record, Patrick Cates, that is correct, sir. The situation for Secretary of State is different. It's a 3-year lease to move all of their office to the city of North Las Vegas.
And then what is going to happen with that space that the Secretary of State is vacating?
So we're evaluating options for that currently. We do plan on coming forward at the August IFC to start a project to plan the next set of projects in that building. And depending on what the scope of that is, it may be prudent to leave that space vacant as we stage work in that building. Otherwise, we have multiple agencies interested in occupying that space. I think we're trying to evaluate that right now. We could fill it easily if we needed to, but it all depends. I would hate to move somebody in there and then turn around and start having to move people out because of work that we're going to do in the next biennium.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board members, any other questions with regard to agenda item number 10? If there are none, the chair will accept a motion for approval of leases 1 through 6.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Governor.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion on the motion? If there are none, all in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to agenda item number 11, contracts. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There are 19 contracts in Agenda Item 11 for approval by the board this morning. Contract number 1 relates to Agenda Item 6B. Members have requested additional information on the following. Contract number 3 between the Department of Administration, State Public Works, and Black Eagle Consulting. Contract number 5 between the Department of Administration, State Public Works Division, and Core Construction Services. And contract number 8 between the Department of Administration, State Public Works Division, and Punch LLC.
All right, thank you, Director Wells. If there is a representative with regard to contracts 3 and 5 present. And good morning. I'm the one who asked to have these held because it's good news. I mean, this is the construction of the new engineering building at the University of Nevada, and I wanted to just get an update on the progress. So please proceed. Good morning.
Bruce Knipp, Interim Deputy Administrator for State Public Works, for the record.
There we go.
I think we're okay.
Pardon me. There we go. Sorry about that. Jeff Current, Project Manager, State Public Works.
Just an update on, how the progress, seems like the progress is moving forward. It's an exciting development up at the university, and just want to make sure that we're on schedule.
Yes, we're very much on schedule, thanks to some assistance in getting this presented at this particular meeting, because the project is actually going to begin construction in about 6 days. So the schedule was very aggressive in order to be able to get some of the site work completed while the summer session was still in place. So the pricing is all in place, and the project is ready to commence if it is allowed at this meeting.
And do you have a general idea of what the construction window is?
Yes, actually not very general, exact. So the construction will commence on July 16th, based on your approval today, and will be completed on June 25th of 2020.
All right, that's good news. I mean, it seems like a long time.
It's a very complicated site, very condensed and difficult to access on the property, and there was a lot of site work that needed to be handled to make it possible to build the building.
And all in, will you remind me what the cost of the building is?
Yes.
I mean, here on this, at least this, we're approving $78,850,138.
Right, so the current contract that is in place is for
I have that figure for you, Bruce, if you'd like. $78,850,138.
It's actually less than I thought it was. I thought it was closer to 100 million. Is that, so this is the complete cost, but doesn't include obviously furniture, fixtures, and those types of items, and the labs and all those things?
That is the construction cost.
Okay. Well, and again, this is a really important development for the university, and essentially takes takes it to the next level with regard to what's happening economically and the types of companies that are going around. I toured the current engineering building, and some of their professors were doing research in the basement with some pretty primitive labs. So this really brings the university to the forefront with regard to engineering. The engineering school is the fastest growing school at the university at UNR. So this is a big day. So I appreciate your work. I appreciate your willingness to expedite this, to get it on this agenda, because the other thing that was happening was the construction costs were going to go up dramatically because of the increase in prices of steel, et cetera, and we needed to lock all those things in. So again, thank you.
And to add to your very point, some of the spaces in the building incorporate some very high-end current thinking with regard to technology.
Fabulous. Board members, any other questions with regard to contracts 3 or 5?
No, Governor.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. We'll move to agenda item number 8. Thank you. Do you have 8 as well? And that's the Fallen Heroes Memorial? Okay. So again, I asked for this this agenda item or this contract to be held. Many of you may or may not be aware that this has been in the works for some time, but there is going to be a new memorial on the Capitol Mall, which is going to memorialize our fallen heroes, the men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice that are from the state of Nevada. I don't know if you have any of the schematics with regard to it, but it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And just to give you a small glimpse of what it is, but when the names are all going to be etched in steel on top, and when the sun comes through, you're going to be able to see those names on the ground, and it's going to be lit spectacularly at night as well. And maybe you can help me with the marble piece that I think is really going to bring it home.
Absolutely. It's something to behold, and it is on schedule to be completed by Veterans Day. And the Department of Veteran Services has a ceremony involved and scheduled for that time. The black granite piece that you mentioned in front of the memorial will help bring some reflectance, both visually and contemplatively.
No, thank you. And I don't think we will ever be done, but it has always been my goal to be the most veteran and military friendly state in the country, and this is something that the veterans community has wanted for some time. It is going to be, as I said, located right across the way from archives, and I know they're moving dirt as we speak. It's a very aggressive schedule because it indeed has to be done by Veterans Day this year, but it's going to be something we all will be very proud of. It's going to be a place that our veterans and families of fallen soldiers can come and reflect, and it really shows our respect and appreciation for the veterans community, and again, particularly those that, for those Gold Star families and the individuals who made that ultimate sacrifice. So again, I appreciate, and I know I speak for the other board members, your attention to this and ensuring that it gets done on time. So thank you. Board members, any questions or comments with regard to contract number, what was that, 8? 8. All right, thank you, gentlemen. I believe that exhausts all the contracts that were going to be held or not. So if there aren't any more questions, the chair will accept a motion to approve proposed contracts 1 through 19 as presented in agenda item number 11.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for approval. Is there a second?
Second, Governor.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion on the motion? I hear none. All in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to agenda item number 12, approval of work plan. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There is one work plan for approval by the board this morning, and no additional information was requested by any of the members.
All right, I have no questions. Board members, any questions on agenda item number 12?
No, thank you, Governor.
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved for the approval of the work plan presented in agenda item number 12. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Governor.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion on the motion? There are none. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. That motion passes 3-0. Agenda item number 13, approval of proposed master service agreements. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There are 125 master service agreements in agenda item 13 for approval by the board this morning, and all but one of these replace existing provider agreements that were explained at the last Board of Examiners meeting. And MSA number 17 relates to agenda item number 6C, and we did not get any requests for additional information on these service agreements.
Now, thank you, Director Wells, and this is the first agenda that contemplates the change in policy that we implemented in the past few months. I think it works extremely well. I have no questions. Board members, any questions on agenda item number 13?
No, Governor.
Is there a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Attorney General has moved to approve the proposed master service agreements presented in agenda item number 13. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Governor.
Second by the Secretary of State. Any questions or discussion? There are none. All in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. We'll move to agenda item number 14, which is an information item, Clerk of the Board contracts. Director Wells.
Thank you, Governor. There were 46 contracts under the $50,000 threshold that were approved by the clerk between May 22nd and June 18th of 2018. This item is information only, and no additional information was requested by any of the members.
Thank you, Director Wells. Any questions from board members on agenda item 14?
No, Governor.
Okay, that's an information item, so we'll move to agenda item 15, public comment. About 42 minutes. Is it the record? Wow. Is there any public comment from Carson City? I hear and see none. Is there any public comment from Las Vegas?
No, Governor.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Agenda item 16, is there a motion for adjournment?
Move to adjourn.
The Attorney General has moved to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second, Governor.
Second by the Secretary of State. All in favor say aye.
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 That motion passes 3-0. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Congratulations, Governor.